Welcome to the Energy Hour. The Energy Hour is brought to you by Quality Home Improvement, Southern California's premier residential and commercial contractor, making homes and businesses energy efficient, one building at a time.
Hey, Rob and Sean, what's going on?
How you doing? How you doing, gentlemen?
Hey, man, today is pretty cool. We're going to talk about the H.E.R.S rating system.
Nice.
And where all residential houses should be rated. And they're out there now. They have this rating system when you get air conditioning system replaced.
Sure.
You know, you have to be H.E.R.S tested. And what they do is they have a blower door test. And, they pressurize the house to make sure your ducts aren't leaking, right?
Right.
Well, we should.
Nothing worse than a leaky duct.
You know, I have a few ducts at home that are leaky. So, I mean, why not do the same thing with the efficiency of the entire home?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, cars. You drive a car, right?
Yeah.
You get it smogged every 2 years because you have to?
Exactly.
It's because you have to, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a travesty.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not expensive.
No.
It's only like $40-$50 wherever you go. And then you got to pay your registration. That's kind of a travesty by itself. You got to undo it right there at the top.
Yeah,
Bring it down. There you go. But you know what I'm saying? So you have to do those things every 2 years. So if we're doing those two cars, and by the way, the biggest contributor to smog and global warming are houses. People don't realize that.
So why wouldn't we just go ahead and regulate that as well?
Well, let me tell you why they're one of the biggest contributors. Because we're buying natural gas, electricity to power the houses, and we're a huge consumer of this stuff. And we can't get enough, television sets, Xboxes, Wi-Fi devices in our houses, and everything uses electricity, which is dirty electricity.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Unless you want to pay for clean.
If you want to,
where your utility will charge you more for
yeah,
it, which is really nice.
Let me restate that. If you want to be an idiot and give your utility company an extra, what is it, 12?
It's about $17 or so
per hundred, right?
Up to $21 per 100, yeah.
So just to say you contributed to a good source so they can recharge somebody else bigger dollars.
Yeah, basically you're buying.
Does that make sense?
You buy the utility, their solar system, instead of paying for yours for less.
But does that make sense?
Not at all. Not even close.
I mean, seriously, they need to, I don't know, if they're going to pass out lobotomy kits, they're not doing a good job.
I know weed is legal now, but there's not enough of it in the world for me to think that that's a good deal.
We don't think
and
it's...
if not, they can always siphon off the natural gas, since the United States has the largest reserves of that.
There you go. And speaking of natural gas, which we talked about in a previous episode, is Berkeley now does not allow new homes or businesses to use natural gas.
At all.
They must be 100% electric. They will only give you a variance if you're a restaurant, knowing that chefs and professional chefs want to have a gas grill. But otherwise,
that sounds fantastic.
It's going to be all electric, and they're pushing, of course, solar to power that.
Yeah.
You know why natural gas? Now, I don't know if you know this, that fracking, that's how they get this natural gas from shale.
Yeah.
Right? They pressurize, they drill down it's like 1,000 feet or a mile or whatever.
They drill down at an angle.
Yeah.
And then they pressurize it with all these chemicals, over 600 and some odd chemicals that are in this stuff, and they make it explode. And the shale, once it gets, broken away from, it just travels to the top.
Yeah. It'll be in our next episode called What the Frack.
Yeah, there's a good one out there. A couple of fracking things on Netflix you should look into.
I have someone that actually works on that for a living.
One of them's called not Gas Hole, but
yes, nice.
There is one on Netflix like that.
Yeah,
but it's Jace. I think it's Jason Fox does it, and it's called Gasland. That's it. There's Gasland, and there's the rebuttal from the government side. You guys are fake and blah. Then there's Gasland 2, where he re-slams everybody, and puts them back into shape. So why don't we take this H.E.R.S rating system, or whatever you want to call it? I'm sure the government likes putting labels on things. We can just call it your every other year house testing.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll come up
It's a bad title, but
they'll come up with a catchy acronym, I'm sure.
Acronym. Right?
And if they actually implemented something like that, what do you think? That would be fee-based?
Yeah, I think it would be no fee if your house is at a specific level, because that means you contributed to
how about
clean energy.
Maybe better than no fee. Maybe some sort of rebate or incentive.
A sticker?
Yeah, for the diamond lane. No, but I mean something, something that basically might reward you in some ways. I think but the thing is, though, is
you don't have to pay a fine.
Well, where do you obtain that reward from?
But here's the thing. Okay, that's a good question, because here's the thing. If you actually went solar, if you actually did all the things to get much more efficient in the home, your reward is not just knowing you did that. Typically, your reward is savings. I mean, in all seriousness, if you cut your electricity bill down and you get a more efficient house, your reward is not paying as much to the utilities. I mean,
well, the customer doesn't want to pay out of pocket, period, anyways.
But in our programs, typically they never do.
There's nothing really
outside of a cash buyer. If you're going to go into a loan or PPA, you have nothing out of pocket.
There's nothing pressuring the customer to do it.
Yes,
he's lazy as the day is long. So he doesn't have to do it. He only does stuff when he's mandated to do it.
Well, that goes back to the whole
thing
like
registering your car. You know what happens when you don't register your car, right?
Sure.
You get it towed.
Yeah, it's the whole study that people will do far more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. Believe it or not.
No,
that
really?
old deferment route we were talking about.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. So if somebody, there's a study that was told about a sales individual. It said that if I told you, Sean, in sales, okay, if you get to this certain amount of sales, I'm going to give you a Ferrari. That will motivate you to a certain degree. But if I give you the Ferrari in the first place and say, if you don't get to these sales, I'm taking it away next week, there's a different level of pain to that. And it's a different motivating factor. So for homeowners, the problem is we know from our business, the vast majority of people out there would save with solar. They would save by making their house more energy efficient, but they'll never get there because they're not really thinking about it. But if you slam some sort of thing that almost pressures them, puts a little pain on it so that they have to do it, and then at the end they go, damn, I saved anyway. You know what I mean? Like, where's that motivating factor?
So
how do we get people over that fence?
Just like your registration tags, just like the gas stations. You ever drive up to a gas station to get gas and there's a little circle
the seal.
Permit, little permit that's there, right?
Yeah.
The same seal is in the lower left-hand corner of your window in the front.
There you go.
And it has a number on it because 0 to 150 is what the H.E.R.S rating system from ResNet does. 150 means you're just horrible. Right. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. You're just lazy.
You can see the energy leaking out the windows.
Yeah, it's just seeping out of your door. But when you get to a certain level, it should be, a lower number. And then when you get to a certain level, it should be like green.
Sure.
That means, and when they list houses to buy and sell, they should list them on the A list or the B list, kind of like Carfax.
There you go.
Think about it.
It's kind of looking at that restaurant has got an A out front or a C. Which one you're going into?
Carfax lists all the vehicles that have been trashed.
Yes.
There's no getting away from that. And they reward the vehicles that have not been trashed, right?
Good point.
So they give them to customers and they usually put the good ones at the top.
Right.
So there's no way that your house should be done any differently. This will start making people do the right thing.
But there's a problem with that. It makes way too much sense.
Well, I was going to say, let me be the advocate here.
Yeah.
What is the reasoning behind even going down that road to begin with?
Okay, we heard about, Bill Nye the Science Guy, global warming is real. I mean, it is, right? I mean, you got the mean sea level, Alaska's falling in the water, 2 gigatons of ice every year is just... And
July was the hottest on record. And it only
actually just saw something
it only
on Google.
beat out June.
It said like 14 billion tons of ice in one day.
Florida.
Well, not only that, even in the rainforest, like in South America, we lose something like 40 football fields an hour. At some point we need these trees.
That's staggering, isn't it?
We need these trees to breathe. Someone's got to figure that out before we're all gasping.
No, I understand that, but
that's a pretty good motivator, right? We're all going to die, maybe?
No, it's and the problem with that is you think that would be right, and you are right, but it doesn't until it is immediate pain to you specifically. So I agree with you, because if you could put some pressure on people to go ahead and do what's right, and at the end of it they go, damn, why didn't I do it anyway? I'm saving money. Because they will mostly save money to do it. But since they're not going for that pleasure point, maybe do we have to get them over the hurdle by a hammer and then show them it was a carrot all along?
You get them over the hurdle by education.
Well, and that's what we do here. But how do we reach the masses? Because we don't need to switch 10, 20, 100, 500 homes. We need to switch 1 million.
You just make the message simple.
Well, that's what we're hoping to do here, too, with the podcast. Get it out to people.
14 different languages?
Who knows?
Hey, but we got to start somewhere. The problem is nobody gives a flip about it. And we're getting closer to that 11-year cutoff date. 2030, they're saying that, is it 2030?
2030, they're calculating in the next 11 years we're going to reach some milestones, some, more importantly, tipping points that are going to be harder to come back from. If we can, they'll at least be monumentally more expensive at that time to come back from. So, HERS, why would you create it if you're not going to use some sort of thing? It's just, what's the leverage? What's the catalyst to get people to start changing?
It was instituted in 2015. Now you can't get a new air conditioning system without a HERS rating. Right. You cannot get a permit signed off without a HERS rating, right? So anything you do to your house, it should automatically be HERS rated, and that database now has to be collected, right? So everybody in, let's say, Southern California, for example, everybody that's listed at a 150, which is horrible, all the way down to maybe 125, those guys get a notice from the United States government. It says your house has been identified as a piece of crap. You need to start doing something efficiently to take care of that problem.
I hate all the government regulations and
Did
stuff.
I use crap?
I think a lot of people are going to backpedal on something like that.
Think about it.
All right, but how do we get?
It's intrusive to some of those people who are like, well, why do I have to be bound by my house doing this? Because how do you know I didn't?
Okay, but what if we had something? Here's what I'm interested in doing. How do we get people to look, and I don't mind being a little forced and strong-armed into this, I'm sorry. Look at the possibility that if you have the proper house, proper roof, your proper economics, and we can go in there and say, it's feasible that you could do what's right for your house, your family, your pocketbook, the planet. It's going to be cheaper for you. I think at that point, you go solar or you go whatever it's going to be. If it's an economic strain to you, we're not looking at doing that to you at all. Families are just barely getting by now. A lot of people, second jobs, a husband and wife both with 2 jobs to support their family. But in many of these cases, we know from our customers, 70-80% of the time are always in there 90% of the time saving them money anyway. But how do you get them to the, it's like the doctors say, don't eat that crappy food. And you eat it, and then all of a sudden you got diabetes, and all of a sudden you're like, "Whoa, I better not eat that crappy food." You know what I mean? It's at some point you don't do anything until it's really causing you harm. I think there's got to be a way that we just say if it's feasible and it saves you money and it's a benefit to everyone, that gets a rating and it goes, you switch now. You don't need to be part of the
number one, it's feasible. You just tell them you got to do it, just like the government tells us about everything else. The tax code changes all the time.
So why not do something?
Yes, the government tells us lots of things that people do not follow.
Well, how about one of those new boxes in the tax code that says, did you get your house HERS rated? Oh, you didn't.
And your penalty for it is?
Boom.
That's a great
$2,500.
That's a great song.
It's kind of like not getting health insurance. Think about it this for a second. When Obamacare, that just clowned up this whole thing with this puppet Hillary, they made this thing called Obamacare. As a corporation, that if I didn't have health insurance for my family, it cost me over $2,000. Did you know that?
So if we
my taxes, what I had coming back, all of a sudden disappeared because I didn't have health care. Who gives them the right to tell me that I have to have health care? Are you kidding me? When every homeless guy, when everybody out there in Southern California that doesn't give a flip or knows how to work the system, I'm the good guy trying to do something good.
Yeah,
and it cost me over $2,000 because I didn't have it.
Sure, not saying that was right or wrong.
That's not cool.
But they could say the same thing and just replace your subject with HERS rating.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. So inside of the tax code, hey, everybody, surprise, here's another thing coming down the line. You've got 2 years, maybe 3 years to implement it, Right? And on the third year, you've been forewarned. They're sending stuff in the mail. Everybody's getting this. They're putting TV ads out.
So they're
doing radio.
Would you just say that every home has to have a H.E.R.S rating of a certain degree
That's
or
right.
less by a certain time?
That's right. Or you start being fined just like a car.
But I do believe, though, if it came up to where there was an economic issue and the family or the house could not afford doing it, I would not want to impose anything bad.
Well, everybody.
What is that criteria?
Everybody's lying about Edison's decaf.
If a contractor like us goes in there and shows that we can do everything to get your H.E.R.S rating down to this level, and by the way, I cut your bills in half or 30% less or whatever, then that seems feasible. It's a feasibility study. You know what I mean?
Hang on a second
if I'm
here.
saving you money and meeting that goal,
so
why wouldn't you do it?
What if the percentage of savings was the variable to determine what your fee would be to be under that program?
You can calculate that any way that you really want.
Listen, everybody on the planet, let's just be honest with each other, hates the Internal Revenue Service. There's nobody on this planet, I can tell you right now, besides a bean counter that works at the IRS that likes the IRS.
Right.
You tell me one person in the United States of America that loves the IRS, and I'll eat my left finger.
But whoever heads the IRS.
Yeah, but here's
it doesn't count.
But here's the thing, or if you're Amazon and you could be a company with $1 trillion market cap and still pay no taxes.
Zero taxes.
If you have negative taxes, you actually love them. So there are people that do. But my thing is what you're saying here is, look, as of January 1 in 2020, you can't build a new home in California without solar.
They were supposed to. They're doing that now.
No,
it's here.
It physically starts on all new construction. They've already jumped ahead. A lot of manufacturers and builders are already doing it, but it's really 2020. It's January 1st.
Yeah, deadline.
That's the deadline. But here's the thing, though. What other deadlines are coming down the road? So my concern is, and this is why I think what Chris is bringing up is intriguing, is what if they just one day just said, yeah, if you've got a southwest or east-facing roof and your bill is this big, guess what? You're going solar. We don't care what it costs you. I think there's a better way of going about it. I think we look at the people that can save the most. It's economically feasible because we need millions to hit this tipping point and not to have it tip. That's the point, right? Is not to have this tipping point actually tip in around 2030, which is a scientific, kind of estimate. We need to get millions of homes worldwide switching.
I'm thinking we need to be aggressive with it, like the countries of Germany. What is that little country you just talked about that last week?
Tunisia.
Tunisia's
doing solar for 2 million homes for Europe across the waters.
Ireland.
Portugal, all these different.
They're all doing it.
Mexico's extremely aggressive. They're building 2 million.
Everybody else in the world is at least 15, 20 years ahead of us with regards to solar technology.
Why?
Because our government sucks.
Because we have the best technology here.
Well, it's because it's a frame of mind.
Okay.
When you're dealing with a country like ours, where we're gas whores, basically sucking up, as much of that as possible. Yeah. That learning curve waned.
It's exactly what you said, though. It's education, because what it is, too, it's not just education, it's a paradigm shift. Okay, I've been in places and houses where people are like, well, I'm just trying to get over the fact I've paid Edison for 30 years ago. Yeah. You want to pay him 30 more? But it's still a paradigm shift for people to make that difference. But here's the thing. To tell builders they can't build anything that doesn't have solar, for Berkeley to say that all houses now are 100% electric and so are commercial buildings, there are cities and states that are slapping these regulations on people. Is there a better way of just fishing out who could say?
Wasn't that just specific to track homes?
Now listen.
In which one?
With regards to the
overall California
new building,
new track. It's mostly all new developments.
New developments. Right. We got that.
But if you got to build a custom home, that would not apply to you.
That I'm not sure of. No, I'd have to look.
It's all new development, Title 24, period.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about the new buildings. I'm talking about Edison alone has over 16 million houses.
Oh, no, exactly.
That they service every single day. Yeah. So those are the guys that I'm talking about. Those are the contributors to all this crap that's going up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good enough to go ahead and handle just what's moving forward. We have to go back to all the homes that are in existence. But to me, we know, as being contractors in solar, we know the vast majority of them save money.
You know what I saw just about a month ago? I just drove by this one street, and this highway patrol guy was sitting there on the side, and they had this testing center. I'm thinking DUI, right? I'm an ex-cop. I'm thinking they're going to get a bunch of drunk guys this weekend. You know what it was? It was a smog testing station.
Oh, wow.
A portable smog. You know what? This guy drove up.
That's a drunk test for your vehicle.
Right? Exactly.
Think about it. If they're going to that extent, this guy drove up in a van that had missing paint on the top, and his mirror was kind of tweaked.
Wow.
They flagged him.
California is a broke state.
They flagged him into this testing stage, and he got out of his car. His whole family got out of the car, and they did this thing. He fails the test, and a tow truck picked the car up, left his family on the side, and said, "Thank you for calling."
Okay, so now we're looking at that
mobile H.E.R.S rating.
Yeah, mobile H.E.R.S rating. All right, so that's
you know what happened.
We go to people's doors with our little kit.
Listen, I followed the story.
Yeah,
the car was impounded. It had a 30-day mandatory impound at $125 a day. What happened to his car? You think he paid to get that back?
In a lot of cases, they can't afford to.
He waved at it as it was going away, and he goes, "Well, we'll just go and buy another one to pick apart or something."
Wow. Yeah.
It was wrong. A mobile smog station.
And see, that there goes back.
Blew me away.
Big Brother in action.
Yeah.
Well, if they can do that to vehicles.
Well, that goes back to causing harm.
Take out Sawzalls, the houses.
But that goes back to causing harm to a family, which I don't want to do. But we know, though, from the inside of our industry,
that's aggressive.
Is most families, if unless they're in an economic situation where they can get a FAIR or they can get a D-Care or they have a medical baseline or things like that, your only chance of really saving is through solar. But most do. I don't like that because. Do you know what kind of hardship that put in that family? What if that guy can't get to work anymore?
I'm bringing out the violin. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hearing this. Oh, my family's doing this. Most families that are pounding Edison for that D-Care, that FAIR stuff is doing it illegally. People manipulate their taxes to show them what they need to see, right? So if they can make a house payment, you can fix your flipping house.
Yeah, but
one piece at a time.
I'm going to argue one other point on that, and I think Edison's rates are stupid and ridiculous to begin with. So 30% savings, they deserve it. They shouldn't be paying as much as they're paying now. They shouldn't be going up 7% a year. And people out there, that's why you should be calling people like us to fix your home. Get the solar. Start looking at whether this is relevant for you, if this can save you money. Because my biggest frustration here really is I could save a customer money and plan it at the same time.
Remember, the consumer does not feel anything until your hand has hit your wallet. Now, I wish Edison would go up to $1 a kilowatt. That would be badass. Well, think about it. You would seriously think about solar.
All right, so if you're at 41% in time of use to 48%, multiply that by 7% a year, how many years before it will double and be in the 80-cent range within a decade?
Doesn't take long.
So that's going to happen. Yeah. And, so what do people do now? And again, I keep going back to that same line. I could save a family money and the planet at the same time. I'm not saving the planet at the expense of somebody. I'm typically saving the planet, or a business who gets a 30% ITC and a 34% MACRS, so they're effectively paying 36% on the 100. How is this a bad deal right now? Well, how about you go out to your Mercedes dealer and say, you know what, I want 64% off. There's so many advantages in 2019. If you're not doing it, you're either not paying attention or you're just not all that smart. I got to tell you, this is a powerful year to start making those switches. I agree with you. Can we get some fulcrum? Can we get some sort of leverage to start pushing people into looking for it?
We have to motivate them in some way.
I agree.
And the only way to motivate them is through financial constraints.
Yeah. I just hate getting the government even more involved, but I want to.
Do you think
motivate them? Not
listen,
not take a government stick.
This blew me away. I went to go register one of my 2013 Priuses. Mm-hmm. Would you think my registration? It's a hybrid.
Yeah.
Would you think my registration would be less than everybody else's?
I'm just going to take a guess. What does it cost?
It was $355. That's a car payment. Are you kidding me?
A 6-year-old car.
It's a 6-year-old vehicle. It's hybrid. It's battery and it's gasoline. But for the most part, it runs on battery. Right. I paid more in my registration
than somebody I know who has a 2012 Camry that paid a little over $200. Right?
The state of Oregon has got it right. Don't be disciplining people to drive vehicles. You know, they're paying $35 regardless of what car you drive.
Oh, yeah.
Discipline them from doing other things like speeding.
Right.
Well, they also do something I like. They pump the gas for you.
Yeah, cool. I tried to get out of my car one time, and this guy in a yellow suit pushed my car door, and they go, what's going on?
Yeah. Right.
And he goes, it's illegal for you. It was a law that said I could not pump my own gas. So I had him $20 through the window, and he pumped my gas. You believe that stuff?
Yeah, that's great.
Freaking trippy, huh?
I'm old enough to remember seeing that happen just here, right? You used to go up to it was called a service station, remember? And you used to be served.
Clean your windows and get it all done. Yeah. So what I'm saying is I don't want to be harmful to people, but I'm saying that if your house is tested and you've got 3 years of education prior to this going down and your house is not at a specific number, you deserve to have sanctions put into place.
Well, it brings up another thing too. If I'm a home buyer, for instance, and I'm looking at a house that has a higher, a better H.E.R.S rating, which is telling me it's more efficient, it's not just the cost of the house; it's the cost of operation that's important to me as well.
How about getting a green? How about getting a green loan because this house is more efficient?
I get a green loan, maybe, so my loan's better. I know that my electricity is not costing me up the wazoo because, well, I'm saving 30-40% on my bill. That house gets a lot more attractive to me, and a lot of and so I think that's really important because in government buildings, their biggest thing was never the building was $80 million. It was how much it was going to cost for the next 50 years to operate.
Right.
So we did a cost-benefit analysis of putting green or LEED type equipment in. Yeah, did it cost more? Yeah, it cost millions more. It cost me $5 million more, but I saved $20 million over the long term. That's a good thing. So I think that would be very important for the residential market.
But there's one problem with this.
Yeah,
is they're not doing it.
Yeah,
houses are not being H.E.R.S tested. Houses are not being. I mean, this real estate industry, as far as I'm concerned, every realtor should lose a pinky today. Because they don't follow the rules 90% of the time. So they do what they can to get a house over its limits to be sellable. I think real estate agents should lose their license if they don't participate in this H.E.R.S rating.
Well, it's just tightening a restriction. This is an idea that's not a restriction.
Listen,
right?
Mrs. Jones, you're a realtor. That's great. You cannot sell this house until it's tested. And it will not sell if it's not a certain number. Do you get it? Mm-hmm. Just like your car. Your car will not receive a registration unless it passes smog.
I mean, you've got great examples.
Same thing for the H.E.R.S rating.
So check it out. Let me ask you a question. What do you guys think the number of homes in the entire United States that were actually inspected for H.E.R.S? Number-wise.
Probably not too many.
How many?
Out of 16 million for Southern California Edison alone, I'm going to say maybe
1%,
500 houses.
Okay, so this is according to resnet.us.
Good place.
All right. It says in 2017 there were 227,000 homes in the United States that were H.E.R.S rated and issued a H.E.R.S index score.
Is that because they had air conditioning done? Because that's all it's required in California.
Yeah.
You don't just get a house done in California.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything specific to that.
It doesn't say if they're buying or selling houses. Yeah, it's very vague and ambiguous. Trust me. Yeah, if the H.E.R.S rating system,
even 200,000 across the whole entire United States is not even.
That's kind of a drop in the bucket, right?
It's way past the decimal in the wrong direction.
Well, you got 16 million houses. Southern California Edison alone.
Oh, here we go. It's broke down by state.
All right, by state. We've got approximately 127.59 million households in the United States.
Oh, here we go, Chris.
Yeah.
California, 2017, 620.
I told you. Yeah. I was 100 off, man. Good premonition, right? Wow.
And the average index for those units is 66.
66. Okay. That means you're starting to get somewhere.
They're starting to get somewhere. But look, you talked about 200,000 homes, and we have 127.59 million households as of 2018. So we're about 130 million homes.
Edison alone.
We got 200,000. What's the percentage of that?
Edison alone has 16 million customers, and only 600 and some odd got tested. That's disgusting.
Well, that says all of California. We're presuming they're all Edison customers, but regardless,
right. They're not. No way. It's disgusting.
Just ridiculous.
But the point is,
so ResNet is in place, but it's not being enforced. So that's the key.
So how do we get?
Oh, it does say California number does not reflect Title 24.
Oh, okay. Don't you love that one there? Oh, OMG. My point exactly. So it's not even part of Title 24. Make that part of Title 24.
Right.
You cannot buy or sell a house until your house has been checked by ResNet or H.E.R.S. It's a H.E.R.S rater. You're probably going to pay about $400 to get it done. Trust me, don't you want to know if your house sucks with efficiency?
Is that a pun?
Yeah, it is.
Is that a rhetorical question?
Yeah, being a home improvement guy. Everything in my house has been done a piece at a time. I didn't just all of a sudden turn my house upside down and go, everything's going to be done next week.
No, but the problem is...
It's done, though.
Most people will not make change until change forces them.
Until their wallet has been exposed. So how do you do that?
So you dangle the carrot of, it's going to be $400 to do this.
Yeah, you're gonna have to,
or you're going to have a $2,500 fine.
Yeah, you do it on the taxes. And one of the questions, like this lame thing with insurance, hey Chris, do you have health insurance this year? And when I go, no.
So why don't we just tie?
All I know is I just lost $2,500 of my taxes that I was going to get back, and then they should ask another question. Has your house been H.E.R.S rated in the last 2 years? And what's that number?
So why don't we just tie it into home loans and refis?
It should be tied in everywhere.
All right. So
you can't get a bank loan.
When we give them a construction loan, they get a better rate depending on the H.E.R.S rating.
Absolutely. It's got a big plus to it.
Projected H.E.R.S rating if we're doing construction that is bettering the H.E.R.S rating.
I don't know about the projected. It has to be done and then tested.
No,
none of this.
But you know what I mean,
assumed.
Though.
Okay, I'm going to get a little pregnant here, right?
No, but sometimes but you know this, that sometimes when we're going for a loan with certain companies or programs, that if we're doing something that increases the overall value of the house, they lend a bit more. You got to
if the improvements have been done, and there's a lot of crooked contractors out there that don't give a flip about doing the work.
Just on them.
So let's take.
We're probably going to do another one soon.
I was talking about accountability and traceability for who would be spearheading this thing and following through on
you have to bring in your registration for your house when you do your taxes, and it says a number on it. You have to hand that to the tax preparer, and that's where it ends. Well, and if you don't have it, he checks another box, and that's $2,500 that you're not getting back, dude.
Well, I'll tell you something.
I wonder how many tax guys are like, "Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate that."
No, but I'll tell you something.
They should be thanking me right now.
Like they want to turn around to their own customers, paying them to do their taxes. Oh, by the way, you can't go down this road because you have a crappy house.
But I'll tell you, there's going to be far more.
Come on, man.
There is going to be far more regulations coming down to hit the marks they know they have to hit. So we did a show where we showed in 139 countries, I think it was,
right,
how that what they had to do and what percentages of homes had to go solar, how to do this or that, or industries to get to a certain mark. We saw that we would lose 27 million jobs to do it, but we'd also gain 52 million jobs in recirculating it. So we saw that there was a greater benefit. In order to get to these numbers, we're going to have millions of homes. That's
the
bottom
use,
line.
Like a Cray computer to compile these numbers or
right.
something?
No, it could be done on an iPhone now. Cray computers fit an iPhone.
Well, I'm like, how do they?
They only do 8 trillion calculations a second on your phone.
An email campaign? They knock on doors for this stuff?
No, but what you're looking at though is
they have an app for that.
There's always an app for it, but you have to look at the fact that millions of homes and millions of businesses are going to have to make switches in countries in order to get there. And the United States, unfortunately, is far behind, and we should never be far behind. We should have been leading this damn thing. Okay, taking ourselves out of the Paris Accord and other type of things, which was a voluntary thing anyway. You actually took us out of a voluntarily, I'll comply if I wish to type program. We've got to lead this thing. Going back to coal and going back to freaking oil is not the answer. But in order to get to these numbers, it's going to only take about another year or so before the government looks at people and go, "You're not moving fast enough. So we need to move you." And they're going to do things like, I think the H.E.R.S thing is the easiest thing. I think they're going to have to slap some regulations on
They've
that.
already
cause pain.
It's already in place. All you have to do is sincerely implement it and let it be done when you do your taxes.
And
that's the perfect time to hit them.
And I agree with Chris in the sense that, you look at giving them a window of time. Maybe it's a few years to start making certain.
Give them 2 years.
Yeah, but for the most part, and we laugh about this, is I haven't had many customers that I've ever worked with that I didn't save money. And if they weren't going to save money, I told them not to do it.
So since this would be,
do you know what I mean?
Since this would be fee, quote unquote, fee based, is that something that can be written off?
Maybe because your house is HERS rated and you give them your annual or your buy.
Because I look at it as like, here you go.
Can you get a write off for just having
you're basically. Look,
I think that's fair.
I got $1,000 off my taxes because my house is
that's
at
cool.
this rate or below.
I look at it as
you're basically
fronting money to. You're basically fronting money to your tax guy to help, quote unquote, the economy as the big wheel to move forward. I mean, what's your benefit from the? Aside from, okay, well, my house was HERS rated. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Well,
because my Southern California Edison bill was cut in half.
Yeah. My gas bill is less.
Because I got a customer right now whose low bill was $263 and his high bill was about $464.
Well, what about the customer?
And he now is paying negative $20 a month.
I'll be the advocate still, but what about the customer who's like, well, my bill's only $50 a month.
Again, that goes back.
And now he's got to take the bite on a $400 fee for a stinking HERS rating.
No, but that goes.
You see what I'm saying?
No, I get it. But remember, you don't know that until your house is tested.
Right.
Maybe the initial test is $50. Yeah. Right? Mm. So your house is getting into the program, so the testing is significantly less, and there's a $50 rebate. Maybe it's free. They're making you do the test, knowing that you're going to actually do it, right? Mm-hmm. And you got to bring that little card to your tax guy when you file your taxes next year. So it may cost $400, but let's just say you get a $200 rebate on your taxes for doing it.
Sure.
Well,
that would incentivize somebody.
I think there's going to be far stronger regulations.
Give them a $400 tax incentive for doing it. Therefore, you can't complain about getting it done. Right. If you don't get it done, $2,500, dude. Sorry.
Well,
you've been informed.
Since it's some type of a compliance issue, proposed compliance issue for the most part, that you could implement that for new homes as you need to test prior to being sold on market.
No, that can be done. I mean, instead of like we're talking about, it has to be as long as it's implemented. That's key. Yeah. As long as it's implemented, but it's not even taken seriously right now.
Is anybody even talking about this?
No, but we are. That's
it.
There's three people.
But I do. And
the three sidelines right here.
No, but I do think there's going to be far greater regulations coming down from the government as they push these plans forward. HERS, or just getting a good rating on a HERS, might be the least.
Maybe that's demanding. The overall agenda, and nobody's even going down.
Well, yeah, but it's also like in architecture. I come from commercial architecture, so there's LEEDs. If you're aware of LEEDs,
LEEDs.
And we've done everything all the way up to platinum LEED buildings. Okay, but it's for some government buildings, actually for all government buildings, pretty much now, if it's not at least to go LEED silver or something like that, they're not going to get approved to build it. So they already know. No, seriously. So we're about to do a metro station. I'm about to be involved in a civics center and so forth. There's no way those buildings aren't going to have some level of efficiency and have to be rated either through a LEEDs program or something comparable to it. So if that's the case, and now they're putting on homes, you've got to have, you're going to have solar. And it's a joke too. 8 panels, it gets you away.
Well, why don't we reach out to
it's going to be, but
reach out to LEEDs and see what they think of that.
There's nothing in the residential sector for LEEDs, but
is that
regardless,
HERS? Is that HERS?
That's
what I'm talking about.
That's the HERS part.
That's the HERS part. Yeah. Right. But LEEDs, I'll tell you, LEEDs is very effective, and the reason it's not mumbo jumbo.
I don't see it done a lot lately.
But there won't be a government building because that won't do it.
Government building. This should be all buildings.
But it goes back to what Sean also said. If you educate the customer, okay, everyone's about instant gratification. Everyone's about today, all right? Your building costs $50 million to build, all right? Fantastic. It's going to cost you $80 to run it for the next 30 years. But what if it costs you $60? Are you willing to spend $5 million more on efficient systems today? But until they're educated about that, they have no idea.
What about some of these people that are coming from other countries that are buying commercial properties? For example, the building that I'm in. Right? The roof is bad. Mm-hmm. The efficiency is on a master meter.
Right.
The efficiency is horrible times 5.
Right.
And he doesn't care about anything like that. And you can't motivate this guy. How are you going to motivate this guy? You sanction him.
Well, here's the thing. If you can't motivate them by showing them a savings, it's the carrot or the stick. It's one or the other. We're doing a proposal on a church that has a bill of $14,500 a month. We're probably, even if it's a $3,000 or $4,000 a month bill that we have to do for solar, they're still going to save about $7,000 a month, $8,000 a month.
That's great.
So who wouldn't want to save $90,000 a year?
Right.
But, you still sometimes have to convince these groups that that's good for them.
You might have to come up with another word besides sanction, because when I hear that,
there's a negative connotation.
To buy or purchase something that throws me off.
Everybody's used to this one.
How many people have not gotten into
but when you buy
something small like that?
You go buy a car, and don't you look at the side of the window that says, this is my miles per gallon, this is my efficiency? And for some people, that's really important. If it wasn't, why would we go electric? Because electric is that next step, okay? So there's an efficiency to a house, and I really do think that it's been left in the dark.
Every house,
no pun intended, but it's been left in the dark.
Every house on Zillow or wherever it's being listed has to publicly show the H.E.R.S rating.
I don't mind that. The sanctions part, I agree with you. It's got a negative connotation.
Let's just call it an audit. Everybody knows that one really well.
Audit sounds worse. It's just 5 letters.
Yeah. No, to me it does. It's an efficient.
How about a barn whipping then? I mean, it's just as bad.
It's the equivalent of miles per gallon on a car. It's your efficiency.
Again, it's that circle with a number in it.
It's your efficiency.
It's the H.E.R.S rating system.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're doing the miles per gallon based on you going 60 miles per hour.
Oh no, it's optimal conditions.
What is the average miles per hour on a freeway? Is like NASCAR 90?
Well, nowadays it looks like it's about 100.
Yeah,
right?
Except our freeways go as slow as streets, so sometimes we're getting city driving mileage on the freeway.
I go about 70, and I think 70 is decent, right? I'm about 5 miles over, and I get passed by so fast, it's like I'm standing still.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, look at it. You probably don't want a car that guzzles gas. You're probably not going to get a restaurant that has a C on the window. I mean, otherwise, good luck with you later. And your house can have some level of rating. My whole thing is just, how do we start moving people towards the inevitable place they're going to have to go, and a place that typically will save them money anyway. It's like dragging the kid to the store, kicking and screaming, and then he gets the ice cream and he's happy. Most of these people, I can't remember the last time I had to tell a customer, you're not going to save with me.
So are you going to become an advocate on the lobbyist level to implement something like this? Well, that's the guy we need to speak to.
I think we have to look at where this goes next. But I do think, if we don't have something friendly helping to encourage people in the right direction, at some point, as we get closer to that tipping point, the extremes that the government's going to put on you is only going to be that much greater.
Well, think about it. You don't want to have that at all, and
no, you want to avoid it.
Why go down that path? Because you're going to simply forget about it like you do everything else.
There's going to be a lot of sorting going on, because you're going to have those people out there who are like, well, I don't need all these energy improvements. I'm comfortable dealing with what I have, but yet you've imposed on me a $2,500 sanction, audit, whatever, by virtue of me just having a damn rating. It's like,
dude, the IRS.
It's like some people Dun and Bradstreet. Look, I can go get a Dun and Bradstreet and tell you I'm a billionaire.
And I'm not so much suggesting a sanction. I'm more on the carrot side. I'm more on the, you can write $2,000 off your taxes because your house is efficient. I come more from that side. I just think the penalties are just not really positive, okay? But if somebody can have yet another incentive, California used to have solar incentives and it went away. If you can have an incentive on your taxes, if you can have something, you already do with the ITC, but the problem with that is it doesn't apply to everyone unless they have a federal tax liability that's large enough to take advantage of it.
Yeah, how do you convince a broke state to go down that road? Because the first thing they're going to do is say, where's my money?
No, but from an IRS standpoint, if you actually got a credit for doing it, the incentives.
Okay, so how do you take a broke government
have to play
on the federal level
What do you mean?
I'm just taking it from California to the federal level. How do you take a broke government and say, where's the money coming from?
Well, you start by not giving the rich $1.5 trillion tax cut.
Yeah.
And then come back and say you can't.
So that's
hold on. No.
Thanks.
That's 1.5 trillion. That's one big
but I'm
effing
saying
one.
We both know who we're thinking about.
No, but here's the thing. And then you come back.
Thanks, Trump.
No, and then you come back and you say that the very guys that voted that down come out and say we can't afford health care, or we can't afford to give the 9/11 first responders medical because they're dying of cancer for what they inhaled.
Somebody has to take a bite somewhere. You just can't keep printing
but you know
money.
what?
Yeah, I know. That's me. That's the corporation.
But in the last 3 years, our debt's gone up. $2 trillion, and $1.5 trillion of it went to people like we just talked about before, people that have $1 trillion cap companies that basically have no federal tax liability.
Amazon.
You got to stop doing that. That's where the money is. You're broke because you're letting people get away with loopholes.
Then how am I not getting away with this stuff? Because I'm honest.
You are. Here's the thing. Amazon and
I don't
people
cheat
like that,
the system.
and the Edisons and all these Microsofts and even the Apples and everyone in the world, are part of a unique club you're not part of, and it's called the "We're Too Big to Fail." I employ 100,000 people.
And remember, you're taxed on your profit, not your revenue.
Yeah. So you need to just do what they do. They make $100 billion in a year, and somehow they lost.
What is it that most businesses do? They want to show, oh, look how much profit there was.
A zero at the end of the year?
Yeah. No.
I don't have any money.
And how many businesses do you think are doing that? Plenty.
So look, no one's broke. We're not collecting what we should be, and even if we were, the government isn't spending the way it should. But that's a whole new show in its own.
Yeah.
My whole thing is this.
Round two.
We've got a climate crisis. It's not a climate change issue.
It's here.
A climate crisis. Again, last month, hottest month. Month before, hottest month. We used to have like the hottest month every few years. We'd cap it. We're capping the previous month now.
Yeah.
Our hottest month just beat the last month. There's a systemic issue with this. You can tell me what you like. You can tell me you don't believe in science. You can tell me this and that. You can tell me, my God, you know what I saw today? The climate control and the shootings in El Paso was because of gay marriage. Pull your heads out of your proverbial butts. That's not the case. Go to NASA.
That's right.
NASA's very independent. They show exactly all the temperature readings for decades and decades.
We got a link on the website. We got a link on the website.
Right. Tell every politician that's telling you something to bugger off. Go check that one website, and you can see that this isn't a trend, dudes. This is something very
real.
big. This is real. And that 11-year tipping point, okay? This isn't about you. Guess what, Chris? You and I are going to be dead.
Yeah.
My kids might be possibly passed by the time it happens. Not their kids.
Yeah.
This is something that is coming very quickly.
It's unfortunate.
But this is what you and I get excited about, is we're in a business where we get to save people money and the planet at the same time. How awesome is that? We just have to get to more people and educate them faster.
Hey, just go to some of those.
Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
So, what happens is people get tied up with these things they watch on TV. Yeah. They get tied up with things they shouldn't be doing or doing. Distractions.
Absolutely.
It's misdirections.
Completely.
And this is why we're suffering. So do you both agree that we should have some type of implemented H.E.R.S testing?
I think we need to find something. I'm not that big on heavy penalties. I'm more on incentives. But I think that since cars and other type of things have some level of regulation, why wouldn't that just naturally go to homes as well?
The house is the biggest polluter in everything that you own.
And I think if you do the incentives, maybe I get a little off my taxes. I think maybe you get a green loan, energy loan, if you're doing a refi or doing something else, that there be something that something that's a beneficial besides the fact they're saving money.
Listen, if the IRS can database everything you've done since the beginning of birth, it would be simple to implement this to where, if this number gets to here, Green Loan Company XYZ gives you a call to say, congratulations. We want to do something good for you.
Right.
Isn't that awesome?
I think it can be.
Those are the benefits that I'm talking about.
I think it's definitely a place we need to be talking
about. Well, it looks like we're going to have a round two to this, guys, especially on the political side where we don't cut each other's throats.
No.
But it's all good at the end of the day. The greatest thing about this medium that we're doing here is that we can voice our opinions, and hopefully it'll hit somebody and they'll make a better decision.
Absolutely. And if anyone out there hears this and has a topic you want us to cover,
just go to the website.
Please go to the website, email us, because we
click on the link, fill out the form.
We want to speak to what is most concerning you. We do think these issues do, but there might be something out there we're missing. Please let us know.
I think it'd be great. Hey, Rob, Sean, thanks a million for hanging out.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry for burning up 45 minutes of your time, but
no worries.
These are some of the things that need to be talked about, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, guys, have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care out there.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
The Energy Hour was brought to you by...
What would you spend to ensure good health? $100, $1,000, $1 million? For less than $100, you can get a 2-month supply of a H.E.R.S Superfood, the revolutionary new health supplement packed with everything you need to look great, feel great, and have renewed energy. Call 618-800-6670. A H.E.R.S Superfood, beyond organic. Go to realhealthforyou.com. Total Life Energy in powder, pill, or elixir. Your health. What's it worth to you? Call 618-800-6670 now.
Got your latest electric bill? Is it less than last month or last year? Probably not. But if you had a solar system from QHI, it would be. Your electric meter could be running backwards. Right now, get a QHI system installed for no money down, no out-of-pocket expenses. Get an immediate savings on your electric bill. Call 909-609-5437. Solar is all they do. Call QHI 909-609-5437.
For beauty, efficiency, and power, the only product we know in the solar industry is Solaria. Maximum power. For nearly 25 years, Solaria has set the pace for solar panel performance, efficiency, reliability, quality, and design. Maximum power. Solaria continues to leverage its patented technology, engineering expertise, and sophisticated automation into creating one of the most attractive, energy-efficient solar panels available on the market today. Maximum power. What really defines home solar? How about Solaria? Quality you can trust for your home or business. Solaria is the new benchmark for solar energy. Where do you get this panel for your home or business? Go to QHIinc.com. That's QHIINC.com/Solaria. SOLARIA.
Thank you for listening to The Energy Hour. Visit them on the internet by going to QHIinc.com/TEO. That's QHIINC.com/TEO.